Yes, it is Prosperity Monday. At least that's how I kind of look at it. I mean, it's going to be a Monday somewhere, so let's make it a prosperous one, right? So good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. It's honor and a privilege. Appreciate it. And so try to make the time count the most. And that's what we'll do. So speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. It's not just a saying. It is, I think it's a state of consciousness. And that's how I see it. And since it's, I guess, I'm the one driving the bus. Okay, so cool. If you got a birthday today, happy birthday. Had a great weekend, and we are prospering. And anyway, so Bosto, baby, isn't that the And Nina, honey, you can actually go into the channel and download any video you want. I saw your email there last night, and I apologize, that's just been this exciting. So I can say, hello, moderators. How are you? Ballot Brand, how you doing? Scotty Boy and Doug and Sovereign Archer, how are you doing? Like that. Linda Espinoza, I love that. How you doing, dear? And Troublesome 93, I saw that. So my books, well, I'll tell you, whoever does get them, wow. Yeah. There's some good stuff over there. Anyway, so yeah, go all the way from Croatia. How are you doing, my friend? Ballot Brand, your wife, my girl, and my oldest brother. Oh, isn't that amazing? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I tell you, we had a fabulous weekend. I know it was Robert V's birthday, and I apologize. Robert didn't get to join you, but I had date night, and it was fabulous. My wife and I make it a habit to go on dates. Just because you're married doesn't mean you stop going on dates. So anyway, it was fabulous, I tell you. Had just I could say it was a magical Saturday and Sunday. Let's see what else is going on. So need to bring this up because when you see something, you address it. If you invited me over to your house and I came in and sat down and then began to find fault, don't like the way you arranged your furniture, don't like the way what you have on your walls, and you'd look at that person and going, what's wrong with you? And and they're not there to edify you or build you up. They're there to find fault. Well, you would probably, like the rest of us, would say, listen, it's obvious you don't like being here. I don't like what you're saying in my house. So there's the door, and I wish you well. And you see, a channel is like that. Why people come in and want to find fault. If you're looking to find fault with me, get at the end of the line. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what makes you the moral superiority here. And you know what I'll do? I'll delete your comments because they don't do anything for the community. There's no edifying here. If you got a bone to pick, go pick it yourself. Life's too short to deal with such nonsense. And, I'll just ask you to leave. In fact, I'll tell you, don't let the door hit you in the ass on your way out. I didn't invite you in. You came in of your own free will, but I will not allow you to be a bully. If you got something to say that is a point to the subject, something that adds to it, have at it. That's cool. But don't you bring yourself in here and then start trying to begin to pick a fight because of something that I said that you may disagree with it. Keep it to yourself. Again, I don't go on your channel and leave comments of any kind unless they're edifying, upbuilding. I appreciate the reciprocity of the kindness. Hey, Kaz, how you doing, darling? So I needed to get that out because I won't tolerate it. You're not going to be a troll or a bully. And even though you say you're, part of the tribe, I don't give a damn. It's not right. And so I think you and I know where we stand. Good. So, hey, Lilith, what's up? Yeah, you got to do that sometimes, folks. I don't know. And if you're looking to me for perfection, and if you're going to try, listen, there's only one person in this world whose opinion is important to me. That's my wife's. And you ain't my wife. She's the only one. Everyone else? Yeah. So, no, Jeanette, that's not you. There's no one in here in this room that I'm talking about, but no doubt it'll get back. So, hey, Chloe, what's up? And Paul, Joe, Robert V, what's up? How'd you have a good birthday, brother? Didn't get a chance to check out your show there. Scotty boy, thank you. What's up, Grace? Yeah, I do. Well, you just sometimes just gotta just tell it what it is. It's, I do my best here to try to provide a community that is love and accepting, and we bring up controversial topics, but that's cool. Everyone's got a point of view on that. That's cool. I mean, bring it on. Love it, because we increase in that. But yeah, and the other way, no. So, but we love and we continue to walk. So I want to talk about what happened this weekend. It was the most, it's wonderful. First of all, so I guess this was back in October of 22 last year, because we didn't have internet, long story there, but all of y'all know it took about a month here for them to get that in. But, and I told my wife, I said, there's this movie I want to see. And she says, well, what movie is it? I said, it's a rarity. I said, unless you've seen the movie and unless you happen to be in that particular genre, you probably have never even heard of it. But I told her, I said, I'm going to start thinking. And I said, I want to manifest this so I can see it. Well, if we do the math, let's see, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. I mean, it's the end of April. So, right. So that's 7 months. It happened Saturday night. Recorded it. Wife and I watched it later, but yeah. And the movie, by the way, is a movie called Local Hero. It was one of the few at the end of Burt Lancaster, one of his last films. And it's a wonderful storyline. It's just it's an uplifting movie. It's got humor, and if you ever get a chance to go check it out. So it's a good movie. You'll like it. And sure enough, there it was. Took 7 months to manifest it, but it happened. And that's one of those movies that's not going to be on the normal channels. In fact, it was actually on Turner's Classic Movie Channel. So if you ever get a chance to see the movie, check it out. But, and it was amazing because I felt like a kid, it's like I told Lynn, I said, 7 months to manifest this. I said, but there it is. And the way I come to find it wasn't normal either. And so here it was. And, we went out on our date and had a great time. And she said, you're almost giddy. I said, yeah. I said, this is one of those things that is self-affirming for yourself. Doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. No, you manifest it. You put the thought out there and that you continue. And think about it all the time. And then it came to pass. Far out experience, I got to tell you. And for myself, it was kind of like the spirits out there saying, yeah, dude, yeah, we all got that. We really do. They say that where you are right now is what you've manifested for your life. Now, I happen to think that there are extenuating circumstances because, folks, there's some people out in the world, they're cray-cray. I mean, they ain't right in the head. They ain't right in the soul. I don't even think they have souls. Again, which is the affirmation that we are not alone as we walk on this plane. Not even close. So monkey experience. No, it really is. It is fantastic. I was giddy. For me, it was a shot of that that reaffirming. Someone is talking with you out there, and and they're saying, "Way to go, dude. Do that." Whatever the case is, if you've manifested and you've waited a long time and you never gave up, well, this is, as they would say, this is like I tell my wife, I said, this is just fucking fantastic. It's the 3 F's. I love it. But anyway, hey, Jenny, how you doing, darling? We're going to get Jenny on here. Harvesting the dandelions. See, I got a whole yard full of them. But they are very powerful. Yeah, they are. So got to get Jenny on. Have missed her incredibly. That's what I love about this group. There is genuineness here. And yeah. So then allow me to, I'm going to do the Rod Sterling thing. And I know it's Sterling in this realm. Where I came from, it was Sterling. But anyway, as he always opened up his monologue, he says, imagine now. So imagine if you're on the back deck of my house and you're looking at the woods. Trina knows this. Mary Wins, she's been here. And you're meditating. You can hear the birds, you can hear nature, you become very in tune, and you're just sitting there, just this feeling the energy of the elementals, giving recognition to them, to their energies, and just allowing my mind to be open, unrestricted, no constraint of thought, no topic, just there. And I'm really digging this. I'm getting into it deep. And the sounds are becoming this cacophony of nature, of both birds, and we have the frogs are in heat, I guess. And they have that certain noise that's it's a beautiful rhythm. You think it's just noise, but if you listen, it has structure to it. It has defined parameters. And I'm getting into this, and I'm focusing all of a sudden because I'm closing my eyes and just allowing my eyes to begin to adapt to what it is when there isn't the visual cortex of sight and the colors. And the sun is right over here, so it's not in my face, but it's at the back, and you can feel the radiation, the radiance of its energy, and you just focusing in on that, and all of a sudden, this dragon appears. I mean, I'm closing my eyes. I'm very much aware of what's going on, but as my eyes are closed, it's there. And then it starts doing this strange kind of morphing thing. And it's a beautiful dragon. I mean, I recognized it. And all of a sudden, you get that spidey sense. The hairs on the back of my neck and arms were like if I was holding on to, a Tesla machine, and it's just that electricity. And anyway, this being comes in and introduces itself. Now, it called itself the illuminating one. I believe I was talking to Lucifer. And I won't get into the conversation because I don't have that release. But wow. Now, it was interesting as this time, and so we have 2 toy fox terriers. We have my Dancer, and then we have Lynn's daughter's Bubba. Rocket, he would call him. But so after this visit, I'm back into this realm, and Rocky, the dog, is at my feet. Lynn said it was the strangest thing when she walked out. It's almost as like he was in a position of, I don't know. You can almost say that the dog was in a prone position, and he was completely quiet, which is not his nature. So anyway, I got to tell you, folks, it was fabulous. The intensity of the imagery. Hey, wow. It's weird. Anyway, so there we go. As we move right on along. Yeah, Kaz, I was thinking of you and you're right, Jenny. I was thinking of Kaz and her dragons, but this was unlike it was a dragon, but it was, wow, it wasn't smog, I can tell you that. But there was a beauty to it. There's this intensity. I mean, this thing came in, and if I was like directing the shot, I would bring in the camera, and when it got within the lens right here, then this thing was feeling it, and it was like moving in and out. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I don't care. And this is how it was. The in and out was like, yeah. And I mean, the features, the facial features. One time there was these, anyway, but it became quite interesting conversation. So moving right on along. There we go. One can experience, that's exactly what, it's interesting you say that, because Rocket is at times, the dog loves me. I mean, it's like he's right down the bottom of my feet now. But yeah, hey Barry, what's up? Good to see you. Gilbert, how you doing? By the way, Gilbert sent me some pictures. Dude, that bike, I mean, wow. I was just thinking that takes a lot of freaking strength to hold up a bike like that, I would think. Well, thank you, Nina, for whatever it's worth. For myself, it was far out. I mean, it was far out. That's all I got to say. So here we go. The vortex of the rabbit hole, right? But it was fun. I mean, and I had this, as Lynn said, there was this, you get this kind of giddiness. Does that make sense? Well, anyway, I did. Like I said, it was far out. What's that, Jenny? It's beautiful. It is hard to describe in English language. Yeah, but the lack of words for it allows me to feel the energy. Yeah. And the being introduced itself, as the illuminating one. I picked up on that real quick. It's like, I mean, I may not be the sharpest tack in the box, but I can get the point real fast. It's like, okay. But anyway, they're watching. Yeah, I think they are. As long as the Rabbit Vortex has a good, it's just like looking through the looking glass. It's the same thing. It's that kaleidoscope. Love those as a kid. You know, I remember spent hours. How many of you had that? And there were different kinds, right? Yeah, love them. Jenny, that is a good word. I did feel illuminated. Yeah, yeah. It was kind of cleansing, if that, in that sense. And it affirmed for something for myself as well. It's that they can dig us. Yeah. So that got me to thinking, it's odd because the way our reality and perception is built and what it's built upon is, as I think of Trina, fractals. Once your core gets shattered, that's truly when I think you're truly born again. It's like, oh yeah, because the old paradigms don't work anymore, and the old beliefs, you're going, okay, and it's, you look at all this and you go, now what? Well, in our case, unlike Humpty Dumpty, we can be put back together again. We really can. And it's like that second chance, yeah, Jenny, as you're saying, I think I got John Cougar Mellencamp in the back of my head, it's like fire and ice, but anyway. Stephanie, what's up? Good to see you, girl. Viola, hello. Got some kaleidoscope glasses for my birthday. The kids are yeah, I tell you, as adults, we're still kids. At least I am in on the inside. I visit that kid. I mean, that kid visits me. It's like, it's pretty cool, when the kid can come back and say, you know what? We did all right, didn't we? You're going, yeah, we did. Yeah. Keeps you in touch that inner child, in which we all need to. Because I have no doubt there are a lot of inner childs out there that have been ignored, that have been put into a box, walled in. Like, where is everything? So, yeah, Jenny, got to have you on, dear. If you want to come on tomorrow, let me know. I'd love to have you on with Trina. That would be cool. Colleen, what's up? Yeah, not ending. Yeah. I love the comments. So it's like, okay, Steiger, get to the point. Yeah, well, let's have a sip of tea. How the hell are y'all? Y'all have a good weekend? Everyone just kind of, digging the groove, You should be. I mean, yeah, the world's kind of a crappy place, but, we are the reflection of the change. I mean, yeah. We may be in the swimming pool, but the thing about it is we're like the chlorine effect. Yeah, there is no green behind us, or what would they say, the yellow. It's it's of a brighter light. That's all I got to say. Eyes of the Maelstrom, how are you? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Trust you are doing well. I love this group. Yeah, I like this group. This is a cool group. So anyway, as I digress, Brian, 1958, how you doing? I felt the tension. I think we all do. Well, outside, you mean? Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. There ain't no negative feeling in here. I love it. It's like, put your hand on the screen. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? It's flowing all around us. There we go. Well, I guess we could do like the virtual thing, right? So everybody, wherever you are right now, just put your hand up to whether you're on the phone or on your tablet, and just put that thing there and just go, okay, yeah, I'm going to add to the energy. We'll get this thing on a virtual vortex. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I saw it done all the time in the ministry. Seriously. Ernest Ainsley was one that I always found interesting. Now put your hands on the television screen, and I'm going to put my hand out there. And the dude was spot on. I mean, yeah, it's kind of, making fun of it a little bit, but the core of what's going on is foundation. I mean, folks, that's magic. That's a master magician. These televangelists, that's exactly what they are. Many of them are wizards. Oh, they'd never make claim to that, but that's exactly what they do. They know how to generate the energy, and then they know they're masters at it. They can take that energy and they can, as the song goes, they can bring you up, they can bring you down. They can spin you around. And when you leave their presence, you take that essence of their energy with you, because why? They've pulled from yours. There's deep stuff here, folks. Yeah, just reading some of the comments, but it's true. And if we would only learn to emulate that, folks, it's amazing. It's sometimes you get tired of just trying to tell people, folks, there are techniques that, listen, Christianity is a pagan religion. They're all pagan religions. There is no true religion. They borrow from each other. It's paganism. If there is a true essence of knowledge, it would be paganism. Paganism today influences all the religions. It's all in there. Yes, Jenny, you're right. And what I'm trying to say, we can do the same thing here, but we can use the energy for a different purpose, a different destination. I've got that gift. I know Jeff Doherty as well. I know there's a few who know what that power is. Why? Because we were the neophytes. Our initiation into the occult was as many decades as we were in our former religions. And if you happen to be on the charismatic side of the equation, where you actually believed in the gifts of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, folks, that's what a fucking wizard is. That's what a witch does. Just because you put the word holy before it, don't mean a thing. It works. And if we could ever get our act together here as a group, this group has manifested on group projects. The last one, look how it was sabotaged. There's a fear on the other realms that, we start doing this and we really start doing it. Yeah, you want to talk about miracles. Whether it's here or whether if it's ever on my Rumble channel. I mean, we can do something here. It's literally just that easy as putting your hand up to the screen and then just connecting your energy to it to others. We live in a virtual reality already. I mean, we're in these bodies. I mean, how much more virtual reality do you want to get? That's what I am saying. We're always friends, Michelle. Listen, I'm no better and no worse. It's just, yeah. And it's with a great deal of respect. And, so it's the same thing I feel about you. Yeah. So, and that's why that works. Again, I spent decades, watching them. And you knew the ones that were really good at it. There's just some that have a natural ability. I didn't know at the time what they were doing. But you think about it. When you start having in your midst a congregation, part of that wizard's job is to get you your energy up, get you into that place of expecting. Because once I can get you to that place of expecting, that's when we can really start doing some heavy stuff. We can really do incantations, invocations, we can cast spells, but we can do it in the form of prayer. Brother Richard, I see you have your hand up. What is it that God can do for you today? Stand up and let us know. Well, had this or had that. Everyone in the congregation, I want you to close your eyes, grab hands together, and we're going to bring this need before God this day. How it works. Didn't need be any God there. It was the congregation. That's what we do. That's how these puppet masters manipulate the world scene. They do it through the television, through the media, through the social platforms. And, all you have to do is just peek behind the curtain. You can see what's going on. And then you got those that are actually the transmitters. They're the ones that channel the energy. Yeah. It's just how it's done. But, we have been trained, we've been brainwashed to perceive divisions. Well, I ain't going to do that. I don't believe in speaking in tongues. I don't believe that laying on of hands. I don't believe in that name it and claim it crap. Yeah, you do. Let me tell you how easy it is. Cut yourself. Guess what? You're going to lay hands on yourself real quick. The problem is you've been trained to take that pain as a thing of fear. Now, if you took it the other way and said, I cut myself, now I'm going to lay hands on myself, and now I'm going to start speaking healing to myself, your body will respond. You'll find out that, holy crap. Actually, we have the workbook on that if you want to know thyself on that. And it did get a little disrupted. Jenny's cracking me up, but it's how it works, folks. It really does. And so I'm really leading this to somewhere. I really am. It's the insights. If you want to know how it's done, look how they do it. Doesn't mean it has to stay in that circle. That's the illusion that I left my religion, I left Christianity, I left this or that, whatever it is. Well, darling, take what you learned. If it worked in there, it'll work out here. Trust me on this one. Just saying. Not a house. How are you doing? Is that not a house? Energy flows both ways. Anyone can do it with intention through willpower. What we're talking about. I mean, we could start manifesting. And if it ever caught on where people could really begin to put down the barriers, and really come together, the powers to be will go, uh-oh. we got a real situation here brewing, but that's how it works. It is. So thank you. Know thyself. Hit the like button. Yeah, feed the machine. That's what we got to do. But it works, folks, and that's what I see eventually we getting to. I really do. And then no matter what kind of crazy cockeyed plan they got unfolding, I believe that we would get strong enough that we would need this medium, that we in turn would become mediums ourselves. Yeah, just saying. Yahweh was the mastered sheep herder. Oh, yeah. And speaking of that, because that energy, it permeates everywhere. I mean, it's got a trillion tendrils. This goes everywhere. So I had this book. It's in my Kindle library. And it's interesting because this is a book about, as you can see, the old ones in the old books. And so it has, I just want to go through the table of contents because it's real interesting. Talks about what is the Old Testament, that talks about the maps, the significance of this. The Old Testament, even in the New Testament, these are just spells. When you read something in the context of thus saith the Lord, that's a spell. Thus God commanded, it's a spell. You have to spell it out. Unless you got an audio file on it, which I don't know of anyone. I've never heard the voice of God other than my own voice. There's a plot to the Old Testament, the reality underneath, the notes on the translation, footnotes, and paganism. Bum, 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 bum. We're going to get into some of that. Another one is the religion of the patriarchs, the official version. Abraham, the first worshiper of Yahweh. This group here is probably one of the more educated, enlightened groups because we know exactly where Abram, that was his name before Yahweh gave him the name Abraham. We know that Abram came from Sumeria. We know that his family worshipped Inanna, the moon goddess. We know as well that Abram and his family were very, very well acquainted with Enki, Inyel, Ea, and Neherzog. Knew him intimately. And it still baffles me to this day when you read the story of what Yahweh ordered this Abram character to do. Was the first thing was to sacrifice in blood living animals. Now, this Abram character, you know, he's considered the patriarch of the Abrahamic belief system. That's Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Something's up, man, because you know, we all know about how he was going to sacrifice his son Isaac. This is a bloodthirsty being. Enki, Inyel, Lucifer, Satan, none of them have ever commanded humans to spill blood. So it goes into who were the patriarchs, the god El, the Canaanite high god, the gods of the father, gods of local shrines, conclusion. Gets into, you know, Jacob, so forth, the wrestling with a god, Yahweh, Mount Sinai, Moshe, the official versions, Yahweh is the only true God. You know, if Yahweh was the only true God, he would never have had to say he was the only true God. It'd have been a well-known fact. You know, it's like this. I have a very good friend of mine who's a detective, and as he said, you know, usually the perps always give themselves away. Because inevitably they're going to start bragging about it. And that's what this Yahweh does. He travels in a ship. Kalakiab did a whole story on that. Yahweh has a home. Some speculate that it's Saturn. Don't know. We get Elijah. Elijah is an interesting one. Anyway, so it goes through the Amalekites, the bronze serpent, and like I said, we'll look at different pieces of it. But I wanted to show you the evidence, the religion in Canaan before King David. You know, there's really no evidence that David or Solomon actually ever lived. But we made it so. So anyway, and it goes on. This is one of those books that if you really want knowledge and you really want to see how some of this started. So till the seas gang dry, my dear, the rocks melted with the sun. So this guy says that he wrote this book primarily for two sorts of reader, both of whom love the adventure of thinking about religion, and neither of whom is an academic specialist. We're lay people, right? None of us got our PhDs. Actually, we do in life. So it goes on because there is so much about this that You just got to go, wait a minute. These books are all around the world. And yet I was taught that this was the sacred, the holy word. The King James is the authorized version. Who the hell gave James the authority to do anything? Well, the theologians will tell you God did. It just depends on which God it is. So this is the world that all of our reality is built on right here. This spell is so freaking complex. Once it's cast, it requires neophytes, converts, initiates to repeat it. And that's how it works. That's how it keeps its energy. And you have to admit, if you've got 5 billion people that are reading this thing, let's say even daily to weekly, it just reinforces the spell. And the spells are, well, they're tricky things. But anyway, this is, the known world as it supposedly have been. This is the reality of the world, Israel, Judah, before the exile. I mean, it's all based on this. People may argue, I don't really care. So here is my point, and we'll get into a little bit of this. It says the word Yahweh came to Abram in a vision. Okay. So if it came to Abram in a vision, that means that's how these beings speak to us. I've been one of those, well documented. I know there's a number of y'all heard your testimonies, and that's why we can call it a testimony. We pass the test. So he says, fear not, Abram, I'm your shield. Your reward shall be very great. Bring me a heifer, a she-goat, and a ram, 3 years old, a young bird, and a turtle dove. Again, what's up with this Abram? And I speak this because I'm just speaking, as we go on this, but I'm thinking, all right, so what would cause Abram to leave his religion? And be in search of a foreign god. Folks, this is the same thing that happens when we talk on Wednesdays on demonology. It's the exact same thing going on here. But yet, we're told, well, it's a special deal. No, it's how these beings talk. And I don't know. I'm thinking to myself, Abram. So, man, you come from a religion that, I can't read any of the sacrifices that Enki or Enlil ever demanded. And can't find those. But this God, this thing calling himself Yahweh, says that he's going to reward you. That sounds like a bribe. I mean, if you're really God, why do I care about a reward? So, it says to bring him all this, and excuse me. It says, and the half separate from its other half. That's bloody. When the birds of prey swooped down on the carcasses, Abraham drove them off. Man, this is a bloody mess. I mean, I can see it in my mind's eye. I mean, I know what a slaughtered animal looks like. And here he is in the hot sun. I mean, the flesh begins to degrade pretty quickly. I mean, the smell had to become, all right. It says, now as the sun set, An unnaturally deep sleep fell on Abram. Well, where'd we read this before? With Adam. It's how these gods move. And behold, dread and great darkness came over him. Are you getting some clues here? I had this conversation with some Christians. I said, you don't understand this God, this Father God, whatever you want to call him, Yahweh, Jehovah, the Lord, they come from the dark realm. That's their natural existence, which would then imply that it's where we come from. A great dread and great darkness came over him, and when the sun had set and it was dark, behold, a smoking brazier and flaming torch passing between the pieces. This quotation is taken from the Christian Old Testament, the Jewish Tanakh, but it is clearly has little to do with religion as currently practiced by either Christianity or Judaism. Instead, it describes an essentially pagan religious experience and ceremony. So if Yahweh can have this, why can't you do the same for any angel, any divine one? It's not violating anything. Apparently, this is a way and a process that is older than we are. It says here is a ritual of covenant making, which in similar form is well known among many ancient peoples. It's the same process that the Native Americans, and it goes further than that, of making a blood brother or blood sisters. Same process. In fact, I can tell you from my Bible school days of being taught by Rick Shelton under this one, that this is exactly how it was done. When families would be joined together, the two patriarchs representing the two clans would come together. They would typically sacrifice an animal. And more importantly, they would cut the palms or where their hands would be, and they would grasp one another and making sure that the mixing of blood, because that is a covenant that cannot be broken. It can only be broken by blood. It was made by blood. It can only be broken by blood. Says the partners to the covenant, the solemn treaty, walking through a lane between halved animals, invoking a curse rated from its other half, upon themselves if they break their agreement with each other. Abram's God makes a covenant with him by appearing as a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch, and his appearance is accompanied by the feeling of intense supernatural dread. I mean, folks, are you getting this? You see, I was taught that Yahweh could not enter into this earth unless a human made covenant with him. It was the only way that he could take his assemblage amongst the others that were already here, who had already made covenants with others like us. Speak of Lilith. I can speak of a number of them. It says this is far from the only point in the Old Testament. Do you see the intensity of the witchcraft, the wizardry? This is exactly what it is, folks. This is supernatural shit, man, of a high, high level. Now, if I had known for the 50 years that I was in the religion, but particularly like the last 30, where I religiously read that book every day out loud. I found myself on a plane reading the book. It's the reinforcement of the spell. It says the only point in the Old Testament where the hero of the story takes part in pagan practices. Repeatedly, older sets of beliefs show through the veneer of monotheism, which later editors have applied to their sources. The aim of this book is to extract the earlier paganism from its later monotheistic settings, to expose the originally pagan religion that underlies the sacred writings of Judaism and Christianity. Whoa. I mean, come on, that's worth the like button right there. I mean, this right here, I know a few of you, I mean, that the epiphanies are boom, boom, boom. Yeah, yeah. And if we could just learn from our spirits, families, we are the embodiment of them. Many of us are here, I think, to begin to help restore past ancestral bloodlines. They begging for us just to get and figure this out. A lot of karmic debt can be settled here. So what is the Old Testament? What Christians call the Old Testament is also the whole of the sacred text, the Tanakh or the Judaism. The content is the same in the two cases, but the order of the material is different, implying differences in how the two sets of compilers viewed it. Written mainly in Hebrew, the Old Testament makes up the first 3/4 of the Christian Bible. The Old Testament is not a book, such as it is much more like the library of an entire religious culture, written down gradually over the course of maybe 800 years. It contains the culture's history, law, hymns, wisdom sayings, and the writings of its prophets. The culture which produced it evolved considerably during the time of writing, and this is partly reflected in the changes to the names of the people involved. Early on, they called the Hebrews, hence the name of the sacred language, Hebrew, then Israelites, and finally, from the 6th century, Jews. That's why there are no Hebrews left. There's no children of Israel left. I have Jewish blood in my DNA. So it tells me that, yeah, they lived in a small section of hill country, not bigger than Wales or New Jersey, located in the Eastern Mediterranean. They shared many characteristics, including the language, with the other peoples of the region, who are usually known as the Canaanites. And I've studied the Canaanites. Those of you who have done it as well, we get the connection now. We know who Yahweh is. We know who Baal is. These are not foreign deities to us. We recognize who and what they are, where they came from. But if you read the book in which they tell us and it's been sanitized, well, you've been told a whole different type of story. It says the Hebrew sacred texts were gradually written down from about 1000 BCE. Now, I want to stop right here and put this in. The Sumerian tablets were already nearly 3,000 by this time, years old. And as I have said many times, Dr. Noah Kramer, one of the first Sumerianologists who actually got a PhD in Sumerian language and culture, there is no Yahweh. There's no Jesus. There's no Yeshua. There's none of those guys. They didn't exist until this character, Yahweh, he deceived his way in. But I've also had it explained to me is that no, he didn't, because Abram was a willing recipient. And that's all Yahweh needed. You know, we talk about demon possession and all this other nonsense. Listen, it's a fact of how they operate. And if we would learn how they operate, we might find a little bit better of cooperation, just saying. It says, when the Israelites first acquired a centralized administration, where'd that come from? Well, it came from their 500-year in exile in Egypt. That's what Moshe was. He was a master magician. Anyway, and the literate class of scribes employed by early kings, David, about to 970 BCE, Solomon 970 to 930 BCE. However, they contain stories from much older times passed on, as was usual in the ancient world by word of mouth. Now, we do have older Western religious texts, particularly from Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Syria, but these are fragmentary and nothing like the extensive and wide-ranging. So in reading the Old Testament, we are reading some of the very earliest accounts of humanity's religious beliefs and practices, sanitized, because they ain't about to tell a teenager, hey, this is witchcraft. This is wizardry. You want to get into the occult? You want to start talking to the unseen realm? Understand, learn how they did it. Now you go and do it. Just don't invoke this one. Because the minute you invoke and speak its name, it's like flypaper. It says the Old Testament is a prime source for the early pagan beliefs of humanity as a whole. The extent, nature, and survival of these texts is in fact quite remarkable. The group in the area which produced them was small, rarely politically independent, and dwarfed by the empires of Egypt and Mesopotamia raged on the other side of them. Why? You had Babylon and you had Egypt. Yet these writings have survived and still nourish ongoing. See that word nourish? What is it nourishing off of? Us. Still nourish the ongoing world religions, while the scriptures and the religions of the larger empires have been largely lost and forgotten. However, for most modern Western people, the Old Testament is literally a closed book. Even among practicing Christians, it has a reputation for obscurity, tedium, barbarity, with its God viewed as cruel, domineering, or worse. Most non-Jews and non-Christians, including most pagans, simply assume that it has nothing useful to teach them. Bullshit. That's all I got to say. If you truly want to practice the craft, read the goddamn book. How do you think these other books, and a lot of them I'm reading, there's some of it I'm just going, you missed the point, sister. You missed the point. Whew. Stuff gets exciting because once you figure out that the tools, the ways, the techniques have all been laid out there, they've been in front of the world for freaking millennia. That's why the Catholic Church forbade the common man, woman, from ever seeing the scripture. You couldn't read them. It was a capital offense. They would string you to a stake and burn you, which was the preferred way, or worse. Now, why would the church, this Jesus church, inflict such a hard sentence for the very word that is supposed to be of God? Because they know that there's enough of us laymen that we start reading this and we're going, wait a minute. Something going on here. Otherwise, the laying on of hands, the speaking of tongues, having visions, dreams, prophecies, it's all nonsense then. But it's not. The future is of a substance. It says this book aims to change the attitude of using the sacred Hebrew text to expose the fascinating world of ancient Israelite religion, a religion much closer to the polytheistic paganism than the official lines from Christianity and Judaism would have us believe. The book makes use of the best of the Old Testament scholarship as a practice in Western universities over the last 130 years. The findings of this scholarship are largely unknown to the average church or synagogue attendee. But they reveal a colorful kaleidoscope of ancient beliefs that is surprisingly attractive. All right, just about out of time. I tell you, folks, some powerful stuff. And we're smart enough. if you're hearing me, for the vast majority, you are part of this. This isn't by accidents. This isn't by coincidence. And in this, because we meet, it's even beyond that. And if we could start learning this, that's why I do the Wednesday shows. I know that there's a lot out there that said, oh, Wayne's gone down the dark path. Screw that. Brother and sister, you're already in darkness. It's a fact. And if we can learn the ways, many of us already know it. Why? Because we're masters at this. We've practiced it most of our lives, not even knowing it. But what we were practicing was for another agenda. This one will be ours. This is what makes it so dangerous. Woo! All right. May not have a lot of likes. I don't care. But listen, I'm just being straight for you. This is how it works. And once you believe it, once it becomes beyond the realm of doubt, that's when stuff happens, man. Brandon, you're absolutely right, my brother. You're absolutely right. It is so true. Jenny, I love you, man. I love you guys, man. I mean, whoop. That's all I got to say. Brian, you're welcome. Kind of letting the cat out of the proverbial bag. It's like, oh, crap, the genie's out of the bottle now. And it ain't coming back in. And it's like, thank you, Scotty boy. That's all I got to tell you. And this is what's going to make these Wednesday shows. We're going to start invoking these. These beings are out there. And just because that the world's, ignorant view of them, they're hoping that we could actually ascend higher than that. Gee, be open-minded enough to maybe accept a different point of view. Oh, shit. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. All right, everybody. Have fun with it. See you tomorrow with Miss Trina. And Jenny, if you can, I'd love to have you, darling. And then, of course, Wednesday with Nina and JD and Rurik. I tell you, we're going to get other people on the Wednesday show. And Nina, if you want to invite some others, that's cool. So there we go. Hey, what was taught today is enough to actually change many of yours reality. It will forever change your path. It will redirect what is waiting for you on the other side. It's these moments that where in the future of the other side, things change. Do you think you could really cross over with this knowledge firmly within the essence of your being and be fooled? No. All right. Y'all have a fantastic day. Sure, Nina, you can go ahead and do that as well. I just don't have all the time. Thank you, Jenny. Troublesome 93, you're welcome. Grace and everyone else at Drumstead, thank you. All right, folks, see you tomorrow for sure with a second look.